Good evening, and welcome to the LaRouche Organization Weekly Battle Report, reporting on the ground organizing activities of the international LaRouche movement. Today is Wednesday, September 17th. I'm Michelle Aaron, your host. The focus this week was the urgency to intervene to stop the present horrific destruction of Palestine and enact the LaRouche Oasis Plan, and to convince nations in the West to change course from their current self-imposed destruction, to join the new paradigm of peace and development for humanity. We have reports on organizing from the LaRouche movement organizers this week in New York City, France, Sweden, and Mexico. We will also hear from Elliot Greenspan on the educational material that you need to be able to fight, the EIR Weekly Journal, with a blockbuster issue published this September 9th. And we conclude with a cultural report from the Schiller Chorus in New York City. A major potential on the possibility to stop genocide in Gaza lies, as encouraged by United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Occupied Palestinian Territories, Francesca Albanese, if the United Nations General Assembly, which is now in session, uses the existing United Nations Resolution 377A, the Uniting for Peace resolution, to override vetoes from the UN Security Council, especially UN Security Council member United States, and intervene with armed forces, if necessary, to stop the genocide in Gaza. We start with a report from Diane Sare, outside the United Nations on Monday, where the Schiller Institute, in collaboration with several other organizations and powerful individuals, held a rally just in front of the United Nations, a rally intended to inspire the more than 193 nations of the world represented there to enact Resolution 377A and to join together as one to declare that the genocide, now widely acknowledged to be in progress in Gaza, be immediately halted.
So we are here at the United Nations with a large group of American activists who want to stop the genocide in Gaza, and we are demanding that since the U.S. Congress has demonstrated that it is too corrupt and criminal to take action to stop the weapons to Israel, to enforce a ceasefire. In fact, they're doing really crazy things, like our Secretary of State, Rubio, is now talking about denying passports to any American who criticizes Israel, claiming that they are terrorists. So we are here demanding that the United Nations, which has 193 member states, the vast majority of whom oppose this genocide, actually take the action they can take to override the Security Council, where everything keeps getting vetoed by the United States, to send the blue helmets to force humanitarian aid into the hands of the starving population, to demand that weapons are withheld, to put an end to the slaughter, and also, I would say, to end the shame of mankind for failing to be able to stop this.
The rally was extremely powerful. We'll look at a series of photos of some of the speakers. It began with invocations from 3 of the world's major religions. First, Father Harry Burry, wearing the teal-colored hat there, a Catholic priest for more than 70 years and a peace activist since the time of the Vietnam War. Rabbi David Feldman, a spokesman for Nature Carta International, and Rafed Al-Jabouri, the chairman of the Integrity Political Action Committee, who offered an Islamic prayer. after this moment of ecumenical solidarity, veteran progressive radio and television talk show host Garland Nixon introduced the series of powerful speakers from various organizations. It included Josephine Guilbeault, a 17-year U.S. Army veteran and associate director of the Eisenhower Media Network, who gave incredibly powerful remarks on the role of mothers, both the mothers in Palestine and the American mothers who must stand up now. And Anthony Aguilar, a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States, who worked for private contractors in Gaza earlier this year and is conveying horrors beyond our imagination that he saw there. Guilbeault and Aguilar, these two, recently intervened in full army dress at a U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing, denouncing U.S. complicity in Israel's genocide in Gaza. They were arrested, and videos of their removal from the room have hundreds of thousands of views on platforms like X. So they were two of the speakers at this event. We go now to an excerpt from the speech given there by U.S. congressional candidate from the Bronx, Jose Vega, where he addressed the historic role of the United States and how the United States of today, which currently is supporting genocide, may gain atonement. This is the conclusion of his remarks. Tune into his online platforms to get his full remarks.
Standing here at the United Nations, where many of these same nations took from us the idea of independence and sovereignty and made it their own. And here we are standing again for that same battle of independence and sovereignty. People have to declare their independence again. And as we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country, we will have to decide, are we a country of genocide? Are we a country of death and mass murders? We broke from that. We broke from the British Empire. Did you know that every 6 days on average, a country celebrates Freedom from Britain Day? That's what we started. We showed that it was possible. And despite the fact that that idea doesn't exist in the halls of Congress or in the Senate or in the presidency, it exists in your mind. Some of history's greatest thinkers in the last 250 years have found inspiration in that idea of liberty. Because, as President Mossadegh said, the creed of national independence is a universal one and is held by all peoples. And so now going forward, our atonement as Americans has to be the rebuilding of Gaza, the rebuilding of Palestine, the rebuilding of all the other nations that we have overthrown and all the leaders we have killed. That will be atonement. Because when we finally figure out how to revive our own country, when we finally figure out how to revive the Bronx, which is the poorest congressional district in the country, which I call Gaza West, when we start up the steel manufacturing plants again, the glass manufacturing plants again, we will export that right to Gaza. And we'll be right there rebuilding what we destroyed. Because we can't bring back the people that have died. But we can help build a brighter future off of the tragedy that we committed. That is atonement. That is the future. And that's what we are all here fighting for. So thank you.
The rally was followed, as you see here, by a sit-down discussion among several of the rally speakers and participants on reflecting on the needed thoughts and conceptions that we, in our efforts, might become stronger and more truthful. So stay tuned to LaRouche channels and Jose's channels for the release of the full video of the rally and the discussion thereafter. Now, on Monday, simultaneous to the rally out at the United Nations, the Schiller Institute was out on the streets in France, organizing in support of UN Resolution 377 and further organizing behind Helga Zepp-LaRouche's call for the nations of the West to join the new paradigm. Let's go to a great report from Clement, who was out there with 2 teams of organizers distributing literature and talking to people in front of the office of France's Foreign Affairs Minister, a location which is also near the National Assembly. So members of the French Parliament were walking by as we organized.
Hello, here it's Clément from the Schiller Institute. I'm here in Paris with the Schiller Institute. We are distributing in front of the Quai d'Orsay, which is the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also National Assembly. We are distributing our leaflets. We are making a campaign internationally in different countries in Europe and also United States. We are distributing on support, declaration in support of the resolution 377 of the United Nations to stop the genocide in Gaza. And we have we have now friends in the United States in front of the General Assembly, in front of the UN, which are distributing this regularly actually, and particularly today. And we are campaigning to stop this genocide in Gaza, and so making that the United Nations take actions to stop the veto of the United States about Gaza. So it's very important mobilization that you should join clearly. We are also distributing a leaflet declaration of Helga Zepp-LaRouche, saying that now the Western countries should really stop to make these bullshit actions, saying that Western South country and the rising of China and Russia and India and others, Africa, are dangerous for the Western country. It's totally false and contrary. Western country should join the new dynamic for this new order which southern and eastern countries are now developing, which is a very, very good dynamic. So stop being for war and cooperate with the South, with the global South, with the BRICS, with all this good mobilization. So thank you to join the fight.
Thank you, Clement in France. Now to Sweden. Here's a photo of Ulf Sandmark, the chairman of the Schiller Institute in Sweden, with Rosa Serran, a board member of the Schiller Institute in Sweden, as they distributed Swedish language translations of our leaflet with Helga's call to the West and the demand to invoke Resolution 377. In Sweden, they distributed it in Swedish. Now, here is a brief video from an evening rally where they also distributed the leaflets. So that was a soprano operatic singer singing from a Handel aria called Lascio ch'io pianga, or Let Me Weep. And again, we talked to people and organized with that rally as well. Now to Mexico. Mexican Independence Day is celebrated on September 15th and 16th. We will hear now from Fabiola and Gerardo from the LaRouche movement in Mexico, who report from what they did at a park next to the beautiful monument to Mexican leader Benito Juarez, the Hemiciclo. They'll explain how they intersected the national occasion with our ideas.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Fabiola Ramirez and my colleague Gerardo Castilleja. We are from the LaRouche organization, and we are here today in the Hemiciclo a Juarez, or better, in front of the Hemiciclo a Juarez, again to speak to the population. Today is Mexico's Independence Day, September 15th, and what we want to do is show people using the pamphlet and our banners that there are alternatives to the situations that we are experiencing internationally. Yes, this day is especially useful because people are in the streets celebrating and because there is an interest in addressing the major issues of the world, and that is not enough for one nation to simply think that it can confront this entire system alone. In reality, these deployments help us bring people closer to the great ideas that the media prevents them from knowing, the ideas of the BRICS, of economic reconstruction, all of the ideas of physical economy that the Schiller Institute has always sought to foster among the population, to raise their level of understanding so they can act in accordance with the times that we are living in. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you, Fabiola and Gerardo. And now a few images, photographs. This banner you see there, in English, the quote begins with a very famous quote from Benito Juarez from July 15th, 1867. The second part is less well known. Translated to English, it reads, "Among individuals, as among nations, respect for the rights of others is peace. Let us trust that all Mexicans, taught by the prolonged and painful experience of the calamities of war, will cooperate in the future for the well-being and prosperity of the nation." And now you see some people stopping to look at the banners there. And then we have a couple images of discussions taking place. These appear to be with some younger people. Now to an important campaign that you, the viewer, are strongly urged to join. Let's go to Elliot Greenspan, a many-decade organizer with LaRouche. He ran for office 11 times, including as Lyndon LaRouche's vice presidential running mate in the state of New Jersey.
Hi, this is Elliot Greenspan with the LaRouche movement, and I want to invite you and urge you to join us, to mobilize with us, to take this special report dated September 12 by EIR, special report entitled "The West Must Join the New World Economic Order," which chronicles the actual historic breakthrough over the last 2 weeks from the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit meeting, the Beijing military parade in commemoration of the final defeat of fascism in World War II, through the Vladivostok Eastern Economic Forum, which has generated an emerging new, just international economic order, which is based significantly on the principles that Lyndon LaRouche put forward in his International Development Bank proposal of 1975, and which Helga LaRouche has developed through her 10 principles for a new security and development architecture as the efficient basis for a durable peace, for an end to genocide. What's happened is that the 38 nations of the SCO and of the BRICS have come together representing almost 6 billion people on the planet, with other associations from the global south. And they've established they are moving to end 500 years of colonialism and repudiate the deadly international policies of the IMF, of the central bank system, etc., which are leading the world to hell. What we're asking you to do is to read and study this report, to organize with it, as against the lying narratives of the establishment, which are meant to confuse, to manipulate, to divide and conquer. So the request is to use this and to subscribe, if you don't already, to EIR Online, to the daily reports, EIR Daily, and to allow us to facilitate our ability to circulate this online and in hard copy to governments, including elements of the American government, to leaders of peace groups, associations, to build our international peace coalition, to implement, to bring the West into this process. Thank you.
You can subscribe to the EIR Online Weekly Journal, gaining access to the blockbuster September 12th issue that Elliot just described. You can gain access to this by subscribing directly at EIR.news, or sustaining memberships to the LaRouche organization of $10 or more get you access to these journals. So that gets you both the weekly and the daily alert. We conclude with a cultural report, a balm to soothe the soul, and a place where one can find access to their powers of creativity can be through classical music. We'll go now to an on-the-ground report that I recorded this past Sunday, after attending a 9/11 memorial concert of the Schiller Institute New York City Chorus.
Hello, this is Michelle Aaron with a short on-the-ground report at the conclusion of the Schiller Institute NYC Chorus 9/11 Memorial Concert, which just concluded. You can hear all the background noise behind me as people chat over a lovely reception. And I'll just indicate a little bit from the program. Maybe we'll have a clip in a moment of the singing, but this program included the participation of the FDNY, the New York Fire Department, with firefighter Regina Watson singing the Star-Spangled Banner, and the color guard of the FDNY ceremonial unit. Remarks were given by chairwoman of the Schiller Chorus, Jen Pearl, by Dennis Speed from the Schiller Institute, from Becky Rossman, the CEO of Tuesday's Children. And then the music included a trombone quartet by Beethoven, which included Diane Sare playing trombone. It included 2 spirituals, Listen to the Lambs by Nathaniel Dett, Daniel, Servant of the Lord by Undine Moore. We had remarks from Father Harry Burry, a 70-plus year priest and peace activist. The large work comprising the second half of the concert was a Requiem Mass. A Requiem is a Mass for the dead, for putting someone into their eternal rest. And this Mass by the composer Cherubini is not well known. It was well known to Ludwig Beethoven, who had requested that it be performed at his funeral. And it was. So this was performed this is the Requiem in C minor by Luigi Cherubini. It was performed by the full Schiller Institute Chorus, with John Seekerson conducting, and with an orchestra. So it was a beautiful event. You can hear the enthusiasm behind me. I'll just pan around a little bit to the room. I wonder if you can see, I love the angels up in the corner. Maybe you can see those. But hopefully we have a clip here for you. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd, and carry the young lambs in his bosom. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd, and carry the young lambs in his bosom.
The excerpts that you just heard are from the live stream of the concert. Soon a more polished version will be published and available. You can stay tuned to the chorus website, which is SI, Schiller Institute, NYC, chorus, so SINYCCHORUS.com. They will post the video there as soon as it's available. Tonight's report showed the ability of the international LaRouche movement to identify and deploy with crucial ideas. In this case, the potential deployment of UN Resolution 377, along with Helga Zepp LaRouche's call for the West to abandon the paradigm of empire and destruction and join the paradigm for peace. And that we were able to deploy as a chorus simultaneously in several nations. Tonight, we heard reports on this sort of organizing in New York City, France, Sweden, and Mexico. We also heard from Elliot Greenspan on the EIR Weekly Journal, the journal of depth and record of the LaRouche movement for more than 50 years, to which you, the viewer, if you have not done so yet, are asked to subscribe, along with getting the daily alert. So we leave you here with that assignment. As we sign off, go to EIR.news or to the LaRouche organization website to sign up today. So thank you for tuning in this evening, and we'll see you